Yeah.
It's me.
You start.
Good morning. Special thank you to all the Masadrim, Nachman and Mati, and everyone else who's involved. My Rebbe Chaim Kramer, be all right. So we're still in paragraph 2. I was very appeased to see that according to the actual schedule, we're not behind. But it is so much to unpack over here that I really do believe it is Kedai. We're talking about the Tzaddik Emes in terms of Moshe Rabbeinu having the mission to imbue in us Das, and that is the Ikar HaAdam. The Ikar HaAdam is not his body or any possessions, it's not even his family. The Ikar HaAdam is his Das. We will see that there is such a thing as being mamshich one's Das, to continue one's Das through one's children and Talmidim. So that's going to come up in our Torah. But the main point here is that we live inside our minds. What's really kind of ironic about this is that the physical body dies, is buried, comes back at resurrection, at Tchias HaMesim, but what's really ironic is that the physical world is a physical world, and you and I only experience it through an invisible world, which is the mind. So the mind never dies, it can't die because it's the neshama. Rav Nosson brings this in the Likuti Halachas. I'll bring the exact quote, Bezrat Hashem, hopefully next week, that the mind is not only powered by the neshama, it actually is the neshama, and therefore it can't die. So our experience in this world is only what our eyes tell us, and we're going to see this in a few minutes. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that I take the mitzvah lo tatu acharei nechem, not to follow my eyes, because my eyes lie all the time. It's always telling my mind what it sees. And we're going to see, Rav Nachman actually himself says, you don't see with your eyes. No one sees with their eyes. We actually know, even scientifically, or if you want to say anatomically, in the anatomy of a human body, it's not the physical eyes that actually see, it's the light on the back of the retina that is then translated into the mind. It's the mind that is interpreting what I see. So I actually don't see with my eyes, I see with my mind. Or if you want to call it mind's eye, that actually would be much more accurate. So there's this das that the Tzaddik Emes, Moshe Rabbeinu, imbued in us, and it's fascinating that the pasuk Rav Nachman signifies this with Mazel Tov, great to have you back again. That pasuk is Ata Hareta, and it's talking to a singular person. It's not Atem Haretem. Even though he's saying it to the whole of Klal Yisrael, it's said V'loshen Yachid as though it's speaking to one person. Ata Hareta Ladas Ki Hashem Hu Elokim. You have been shown with your own eyes to see that He is the power of all powers, Ein Oidim Levado, and there is no other power beside Him. So, in Sichas Haran, Reshut Zion, I'm just going to quote a few lines because here is where we answer the question: which is more important, Emunah or Das? Das is the experience at Har Sinai that you can't unexperience, and Emunah is when I don't understand Hashem, I switch to Emunah because I don't actually know why. If we would know Hashem, we would be Hashem. So there's no actually knowing Hashem, but there's always Emunah, and we're going to see now in the language of Reshut Zion, that's paragraph 217 in Sichas Haran, which is Rav Nachman's wisdom. Emes, kiba emes, ha'ikar ladas oisa yisbarach. The in reality, in truth, the main knowing of Hashem, hu rak al yedei emunah shalema. It's only through total emunah. I'm translating emunah not so much as faith, but as conviction. I'm convinced. Sha'al yedei zeh daika zoichin achar kach ladas v'hasaga gedoyla b'yedis rumumoisa yisbarach shemoy. It's dafka, specifically through this emunah shalema, total conviction. If one wants to translate it as faith, one can. Specifically through this, zoichin achar kach ladas v'hasaga gedoyla. One will be worthy to know of an extremely high level of grasping b'yadias Musa Yisbarach Shemai, the greatness of Hashem, to know Hashem. U'k'moshe Kasov, as the pasuk says, and this is a pasuk we say every single morning. Ve'arastich li be'emuna. I am betrothing myself to you with emunah. And what comes next? V'yadat et Hashem. And then you will know Hashem. So you see the way Rav Nachman is bringing this pasuk, which we remind ourselves of this betrothal every single morning as we put the wedding ring on our finger of the tefillin shel yad. It's like a wedding ring, and every single morning we reaffirm our loyalty to our true and only spouse/boss. And it's so interesting because it's this pasuk. When you look at it, it's in Hosea, Perek Beis, pasuk Chaf Beis 2:2. Hosea 2:2. So Rashi, he brings on that pasuk. What does it mean? You're marrying HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol with emunah, and then you'll know Hashem. B'schar ha'emunah, it's in the schuz, it's in the payment. Now, please remember me, I'm not using the word reward because I'm not sure if we even have a word for reward. Schar mitzvahs b'hayal ma'aleika. There's no payment in this world. Schar means payment. Actually, we even have it in this week's parsha, last week's parsha, when. Yeah, tell me how much I should pay you. Yeah. So the Targum, which Chazal tell us, Gemara Megillah Daf Gimel, tells us the Targum is part of the Mosar from Sinai. So when Lavan asks Yaakov Avinu, tell me the price of your work. Miskar techa, is that the word?
Ma maskartecha.
Ma maskartecha. What will be your wages? It means payment for the work you're going to do. Looking for the pasuk, I'm sorry. And what's the taich in the Targum? The Targum is agra. Agra is not reward; it means payment. Sorry, it's payment. It's a salary. How many times did you get a paycheck and you said thank you for the reward? It's not a reward. I worked for this. So the reward, that's bonus. That's in Olam HaEmes. Olam HaZeh, there's no place for that. Okay, there is such a thing as Rishayim getting paid in their currency, which is they believe in this world. So Hashem gives them the schar, the payment of what they want, which is not Olam Haba. They're not interested. They don't even believe in it. There was once a waitress who overheard a customer espousing to the table how much he's an atheist and he's proud of it, he doesn't believe, etc. So she brought him, when it came to bringing him his main course, she said, do you believe that there's a cook? All the evidence points to there's a designer, but all of a sudden now he believes there's a cook, but you never met him. How do you know there's a cook? Well, how did this come about? So how to get onto this? So schar really means payment. So it comes on Rashi, it says b'schar ha'emunah, for the payment that a Jew has certainty. Sha'amenes b'goyla l'haftacha she'al yedei nevi'ai. That I, Hashem, am going to affirm my promises. That's a haftach, is a promise, through my nevi'im. When I told my nevi'im to tell you, you're going to come out of Golus. It's not forever. It's your emunah, your certainty that I will keep my promise. That is what keeps us married. That's what is the basis of this relationship. We are married to you through emunah, and the Mechilta on that pasuk says it a little bit stronger than Rashi. And then you'll know Hashem. At Moitza, you'll find she'ein hagluyas mitkansin ela b'schar emunah. The only reason the exiles, that's us here right now in America and all over the world, will be part of the kibbutz galius, the ingathering of the exiles, will only be because b'schar emunah, because we're getting paid for the fact that we had emunah, we didn't let go of Hashem. Ugdula ha'emunah lifnei mi she'amar v'ha'olam. Emunah is so huge in the in the eyes of the one who created the earth, who said and spoke and created the earth. Shebeschar emunah, because it's in that schar, it's in that payment. She'aminu Yisrael sharta aleim ruach hakodesh ve'amru shira. The only reason when we came out of the Yam Suf that we all collectively, it's the only time in world history, the entire Jewish nation was zeicha to the highest level we ever came to, and that was a level of ruach hakodesh and nevuah, and that was all because v'yaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe Avdai, the emunah we had in Hashem and His tzaddik emes, Moshe Rabbeinu, that led us to then say az yashir, az then, meaning that because we had emunah, we came to the song and we sang az yashir. So what the Mechilta is saying, the only schus we had to get to this very high level of Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah, to be then able to sing this song, is because of our emunah. So ve'arastich li be'emunah v'yadat Hashem. You come to das of Hashem through this emunah. So that's an amazing revelation. So Sichas Ran, in Sichas Ran, Reish Yud Zayin, paragraph 217, he quotes Hilchas Yeridea Gilur Hazakan from Likutim Halachas. I actually brought it with me, but I'm going to skip it for now, maybe another week. So Sham Mavua Heitev, Rav Nosson explains that over there in those halachas in Halacha Gimel, I've explained very clearly She'ika Hayadiyah Hu Al Yedei Emunah. The main das that we're capable of comes from emunah. Ube'emes Ika HaPerush HaPoshut Shel Psukim Elu. So if now you know that emunah leads to das, now you'll be able to make sense out of a lot of psukim which talks about knowing God. Hamazhirim l'das, so Yisbarach going for that warn us to have das in Hashem. Now I'm translating the word zahirim, mazhirim as warning, because that's the typical translation. It actually doesn't really mean that. The real meaning of zahirus is clarity, from the word zohar. Zohar means light. Zahirus means to be clear. It's because a person's clear, that's why he's careful. So, for example, in Mesilas Yesharim, the very first major section, which is Zahirus, comes after Torah. First, the person has to be imbued with Torah. Then he knows what to be zahir and what to be careful. The carefulness in diktuk and mitzvahs is because he's got clarity. The clarity is what causes the being careful. So, for example, a child doesn't know that socket might have electricity, and if he sticks his little fingers in the holes, Has v'Shalom, could get an electric shock, or worse, Has v'Shalom. So he doesn't know that. So he could be warned, but that's not clear. When Has v'Shalom he gets a slight electric shock, now he knows there's a clarity he's got. That clarity is what will keep him from being careful in the future. A person doesn't put their hand in fire because he has a clarity. The clarity is so obvious, it's so glaring that this is dangerous, and my skin, Has v'Shalom, can't take the heat of fire. So then that's what makes a person careful. It's his clarity that makes him careful. So there's many psukim which clarify for us, and therefore are warning us to be careful what to do with our minds. And what am I supposed to do with my mind? So it continues Sichas Ran. V'yadata, now he says the pasuk, which is very famous, we say every single day. It's came out the last taste on our mouths after Shachris Mincha Maariv. V'yadata hayom, you shall know today. V'hashevoisai levavecha, and you shall return it into your thoughts. Da, and another pasuk. Da es Elokei avicha ve'avdehu. Know the power of your parents, that is Elokei avicha ve'avdehu, and serve him. V'chein du'u, and also there's a pasuk. No, ki Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem is the power of all powers. That's from Kapitel Kuf in Tehillim, Mizmor LeToda. Ika ha'azhara, the main clarity that leads to one being careful, zuhi pipshitus. It's an absolute simplicity, ledas, to know, v'lizkar oisai, and remember Him, Hashem Yisbarach, tamid, all the time, b'chol at every different juncture in one's life, like Shlomo Melech says there's 28 itim, there's 28 different times in a person's life. V'al yishkach oisa yisbarach has v'shalom b'shum eis, don't ever forget him. K'mo l'mashal shederach mlachim v'adonim shamatzim v'savdeihem sheyedu sheish alim moshel. Like you find by kings, they would have their closest subjects wearing uniforms and emblems, flags, all sorts of paraphernalia
Paraphernalia.
Thank you, that will enable an outsider to notice, oh, you're the king's subject. You belong in this king's army. So in that same way, so the Torah gives us many instances where it says, know Hashem, meaning to say, have him in mind. Think about it, Kodesh Baruch Hu. B'chol derachecha de'ehu. That's a pasuk from Mishlei, Perek Gimel, pasuk Vav. In all your ways, b'chol derachecha, in all your ways, eating, sleeping, walking, talking, intimacy, all your ways, da'ehu, recognize Hashem, acknowledge Hashem. So what this Reish Yud Zayin in Sichas Zman is telling us, it really is born from Emunah. Emunah is really the starting point, and Emunah means conviction. The conviction is, even when I don't understand, I am convinced, I'm certain that Hashem knows what He's doing. So please be mochum if I borrow from the physical world of science. Electricity was discovered, or you can look into the history of it, but essentially the one who really popularized electricity and really enhanced it and made use of it was, of course, the inventor of the electric light bulb. He knew about electricity and people before him as well. But in the late 1800s, he invented the electric light bulb, and electricity is something you cannot see. You and I can't see it. Essentially, you cannot see electricity. It's invisible. You see its effects. You can see the effect through an electric light bulb. You know that is electrically powered. You also know that a toaster is hot and it's electrically powered. So you experience the effects of electricity, but most of us are not electricians or physicists to be able to explain exactly how the electrons flow that you cannot see but are there. So even if you and I don't see it and don't understand how I press a switch and that turns on the lights in a huge hall, but you're convinced there's someone out there who does know, and you know that it doesn't happen arbitrarily. There's a electric circuit that enables this to happen, and the electric circuit has a means by which, if too much electricity were to go through it, it would shut off as a safety measure. So you and I don't understand necessarily electricity unless we've studied it, but I don't need to in order to make the best use of it. I can benefit from the tremendous value without knowing, but I have emunah. And so the emunah is not blind faith, it's conviction that someone does know. So that's just a very simple example to understand what it means emunah, that I don't have to know, and I'm not losing out because I don't know, because I know someone does know. So v'yaminu b'Hashem of Moshe Avdai, we had emunah in Hashem, we experienced Hashem at Yetziat Mitzrayim and at Matan Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the one person qualified to actually be the conduit, the human conduit, who was called Ish Elokim. I think only 11 people throughout Tanakh are called Ish HaElokim. It's a very unusual term, an extraordinary badge of honor to be called a human being that is of the power of all powers. So there's a very unique relationship there. Elisha was called Ish HaElokim. Daniel was called Ish HaElokim. It's reserved for very special Nevi'im, prophets. So Moshe Rabbeinu tells us something quite extraordinary. I'm going to share with you the following. Emunah is everything. There's a Torah in Kuf Tes Zayin. If you want to open it up in your regular Likuti Moran, I'm just going to read more closer to the end. In Kuf Tes Zayin, Rav Nachman is talking about how people, before they went to visit Eretz Yisrael, they were imagining what an extraordinary experience it's going to be just walking in Eretz Yisrael and looking at the hills and the mountains, the canyons. And then when they got to Eretz Yisrael, they were shocked. The ground was like anywhere else. The sky seemed to be exactly the same as anywhere else, even though the Zohar does tell us that the sky over Eretz Yisrael is actually not the same sky as anywhere else. And that's explained in Rav Atiyah in his Perush on this Torah, Kuf Tes Zayin, in Tneinã.
Second.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, in Tneinã, the second Chelek. So he points out that it's the same way with tzaddikim. They've got the same body, same eyes, nose, mouth, ears, And the insides, he even refers to the intestines are the same, essentially. There's no difference physically between one human being and another. The only thing that truly, completely distinguishes one person from another is what they think. And that world is universes apart between a kosher Jew, as he calls it, and a regular Jew or a Gentile, and a tzaddik and a regular Jew, and even more so a tzaddik emes. So he points out, this is near the end, if it's the same edition, then it's like 3 lines from the bottom. Misha zoicha, and this is an amazing language, Misha zoicha l'ha'amin, b'kdushasa. Someone who is zoicha, who is deserving to have the emunah, the conviction, that there's kedusha in Eretz Yisrael. That Eretz Yisrael is kadosh. Kadosh, please be mochmi, it does not correctly translate as holy. Kadosh, Hazal tell us, means mufresh muvdal. It means completely separate. It's totally unique. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not actually correctly translate as the Holy One, blessed be he. Actually means the only one, blessed be he. Because Kadosh means mufresh, completely separate, one of a kind. Misha zoich lami b'kdushasa, someone who has emunah, that Eretz Yisrael is totally unique. Yachol lahavchin ksas ha'hefresh, will be able to distinguish slightly the difference between the rocks of Eretz Yisrael and the rocks of Chutz La'aretz. I remember listening to David in my house once, many years ago, and he was tasting a wafer, and he said, "This is from Eretz Yisrael." He was right. He could taste all the ta'am. Chazal tell us, and Rav Nachman talks about this. The ta'am in food is the nitzotzos of kedusha in the food, and those nitzotzos, those sparks of kedusha in the food, are actually activated by Hashem's words, the oasis of the Aleph base. The oasis of the Aleph base creates reality. That's what we say every morning. Baruch Sha'amar, we thank Hashem that you spoke, V'haya olam, and the world came into existence. And a few lines later, 1 or 2 lines later, we actually say, Oiseh Bereshis. We thank Hashem for Oiseh. He's making Bereshis all the time. Le'olam Dvarecha Nitzav B'Shemaim. Your words are always up in Shemaim and coming down and reactivating the whole of the Bria, the entire creation. So continues this Torah. K'moichen hatzadik v'anashim kasherim le'erech sh'ar ha'olam. Also, it's the same when it comes to a tzaddik and people who are good Yidden in their value compared to the rest of the world. Shebe'emes hem doimim b'chol tenuasayim. In all their physical movements, they look similar. Kishar b'nei Adam, like anyone else. B'tunusam v'tzalmam. In their appearance and the salmam and the reflection, the ein b'neihem hefresh b'gashmios l'chol mara eni basa. You can't see any difference between another person's physical body and the body of a tzaddik. The afal biken, and even so, be'emes la'amisai. It's an expression Rav Nachman uses a number of times, that there's emes and then there's emes la'amisai. The real emes is anu ma'aminim shehem mufrashim u'muvdalim legamri. That a kosher yid, a tzaddik emes, is totally different. Ki ish kosher hu inyanach legamri. A kosher Jew is a completely different than any other human being. Mikol shekein hatzadikim ha'amitim. How much more so tzadikim hu ha'amitim. We talked a little bit about this, about what's the difference between a tzaddik and tzaddik emes. The inyan zeh. Now this is unusual. You do find it a few times that Rav Nosson ends a Torah or is quoting from Rav Nachman. The inyan zeh. This topic nitzrach lekama inyanim is needed for a number of concepts, a number of inyanim. The haven zeh. He doesn't finish there and understand this. He ends off at haven zeh ma'oid. You got to really take this seriously. So I'm going to ask you to now turn to Torah number 65, I think it is. Yeah, 65, paragraph 3. In the first chelik, sorry. In the first chelik, turn to 65, paragraph 3. Are we all there?
Which one? Page A on the day is the first chelik.
So he's talking about, just to give you a bit of a context, he's talking about the real das is to know that even suffering is good. It has a toelis, it has a tachlis, it has a purpose. The purpose is so way beyond the pain of the suffering that it's so worth it. He talks about the ability that a person can close their eyes, and he explains why closing eyes tight when a person goes through pain, it closes his eyes tight in order to focus his mind on something very specific, or he was trying to grab a memory that is lost in somewhere in his brain. That closing one's eye is a form of bittul, where one, so to speak, cancels out everything that's going on in the world in order to focus on something very specific inside the mind. So he talks about now seeing, and I'm not sure, it's almost literally bang in the middle of the second paragraph column. Have you got? It says ki hareus hu misharet v'shaleach shel hamoyach. Have you got the place? Seeing, eyesight, is a misharet. Misharet means an assistant. V'shaleach, and a messenger, shel hamoyach, of the brain. You don't see with your eyes. What Rav Nachman just said in our previous Torah is that in order for you to see the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, you've got to believe it. Believing is seeing. Contrary to what science used to say, is seeing is believing. What we're saying here is believing is seeing. You can only see with your mind, and the mind needs to be saturated with emunah. Lahavi hadava sheroya latoich hamoya. Your eyes are only there to bring something that you're looking at into your brain. Ki ika hariyah hi hayadiyah. The main eyesight that you have is not what your eyes see, it's what your mind tells you you're seeing. So it's not your eyes that tell your mind what you're seeing, it's your mind that tells your eyes what you're seeing. It's the exact opposite. That's one of the reasons this world is called Olam Hafach. It's completely backwards, upside down, inside out. It's a totally brilliant AI world. We are living inside a divine illusion.
That's why it's Olam Hafach Reisi.
Olam Hafach Reisi.
What you just translated.
Excellent. Excellent. And he didn't have his eyes there. It's the mind's eye. Dahainu. That means to say, Leida mahus hadava, to know the essence of something, shiroi, that you're looking at, the hayadiyahi b'moyach. The knowledge of that is inside the brain. If the brain wants to see something that's right in front of him, opposite him, you turn your face in the direction of where you want to see. Now your eyesight goes, sees the thing, and it brings the image into your mind. And then you know what you're seeing, but not because of your eyes, but because your brain tells you what you're seeing. Is this making sense?
Yeah, it's like the picture. The picture itself doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, but you're translating what's in the picture.
So if it's a very significant picture, there's something that a very special message. That's exactly right. Now we can understand that when Rav Nachman brings that Moshe Rabbeinu was responsible, so to speak, in the mission to open up our eyes to see Hashem, who Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim. He's the power of all powers. He's constant. Yud Kei Vav Kei Haya Hav Eviyah. Ein Oid Milvado, and there is no other power beside him. The language there was Ata Hareta Ladat. You've been shown to know. What was the show? It was Matan Torah. And what was Matan Torah? Lightning. A sound of a shofar that was going louder and louder. It was not diminishing, it was getting louder and louder. There was fire that was coming out from the mountain and flaming off the top of the mountain. There was a dark cloud, and the mountain itself was trembling. And Moshe Rabbeinu wants us to know, don't get stuck in the drama. That wasn't the point. The point was, did you hear God speak to you when he said, Anochi, I am Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokecha. It's not in plural, it's in singular. I am your power of all powers, and you know how you know, Asher Hutziticha, because you personally witnessed my power control all those powers. And it wasn't for the drama of it, it was for you to come to the conclusion that I am Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim, Ein Od Milvadoi. And therefore, if I ever have a problem, where should the first address be? Where should I go? If I've got a Shalom Bayis problem, what's my first address? I could go to the Rav, it's a good idea, but where should be the first address? Rebbeinu Shalom, please help me find the right people to give me the right guidance. I had no idea. I thought I knew my wife when we got married, and then I found out about her after we got married. This is not the same person I thought I married. And before you know it, I'm pulling the hair out of my head, and I said, Rebbeinu Shalom, and my wife's pulling her shaitel out of her. And before you know it, where do I go? Where do I go? And Hashem says, look, I took you out of Egypt. I can take you out of your Egypt too. Mi beis avadim. I can take you out of any type of Egypt. And you can find me in Egypt. I don't even have to take you out. You can find me there too. So this is the real message of the Tzaddik Emes, so to speak, that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to instill in all the world. That Hashem is the first address. Now, if I believe at any level in Hishtadlus, any effort, to go to someone to help me get more clarity of how, it can be a doctor, it can be a therapist, it can be a guidance counselor, it can be a consultant, a financial consultant. It doesn't make a difference. But if I first went to Hashem and said, please help me find, and whoever I do find, help me to see if they are the right person, if they are, and help me to see if they're not the right person, if they're not. Give me the eyes to know, my mind's eye, and open my mind to have your guidance. And when you look at all of Tehillim with this mindset, so to speak, you'll see that David HaMelech, who did he rely on? Achitophel and Doeg, his close advisors, who did he rely on? Shivati Elecha. Who did he scream out to? Elecha, to you. V'tir pa'eni, and you will heal me. He wasn't screaming to, I don't want to say what type of doctors, he wasn't screaming to anybody, only I'm screaming out to you and you'll heal me. Reifechol basar, because you can be merape any flesh, umafli lasos. It's amazing what you can do to my mind when I think I'm poisoning my mind with anger and hatred and resentment and all sorts of bitterness, and you are the Reifeh. Please help me. And if I need to go to someone, help me find the right person. And help me have the guidance to tell them how to help me. Because I can't unchain myself. And if they tell me, well, help me to understand, when did you first have this experience? Oh, it's your father. What examples are there of your father's abuse towards you that made you feel this way? And before you're analyzing to death the past, and Moshe Rabbeinu was telling me, no. Hashem sent you this father. Hashem sent you Parai. Hashem sent you all the people in your world. The vast majority of the Jewish people lost their relatives in Makas Choshech. It was not easy, those Makas. It was not easy. Moshe Rabbeinu once asked Parai, how were the Makas? He said, Eser! There were 10. This is just an Israeli expression of Gavaldik. So, but they weren't easy. It was tremendous trepidation, and we were getting used to it until Choshech, and we lost 4/5 of the Jewish nation. That's the lowest number. So comes along Rav Nachman and says, Yisurin is only good. This is in the Torah that we're looking at. But your eyes do not tell you what you're seeing. It's your mind. So now I have to fill my mind with God's mind, Torah, and turn to Him, Tefillah, in order that when I do see the world, I don't get fooled. I probably shared this with you, but we've got an expression, time heals. We have the expression, believing is seeing. It's actually the opposite, because in the world of science, it used to be, and it was a very, very logical premise. It was a faulty one, but it was a logical premise. It seemed that way. If you cannot observe a phenomena, then it can't be measured. If you can't see and observe and measure something, then you can't say it even exists. For you to say it exists, you've got to be able to measure it. So that's why science for centuries could not accept that there's a spiritual dimension. Show me. You can't see a spiritual dimension. And yet, science has done a 180-degree turnaround. You can't see electricity. You know what's really astonishing? Science had to do a 180-degree turnaround with the invention of the telescope and the microscope. Because now with the microscope, especially we now have atomic microscopes, which can actually magnify an item, for example, a molecule, to 1 billion times its size. So if you had a physicist in your kitchen and you want him to admire your granite solid rock countertop, and you bang on it and you see this wonderful solid countertop, and the physicist will tell you you're mistaken. It's 99.999. You've got to go 12 spaces. 99.9999999% empty space. And you go, huh? You have a PhD in physics? And then he'll tell you, if you want to know how much physical matter is contained in this granite countertop, now you've got to go 13 spaces. It's 0.000000000000001. And you go, the guy is mad. This is physically solid. And now we know that's not true. The vast majority of the physical world is empty space. Okay. There's different numbers, but according to one thing I read, if you took all the empty space out of physical matter in planet Earth would be approximately the size of a basketball. It would have the same weight, density as all planet Earth combined. Meaning to say, thanks to technology, our eyes have changed. That what you see is not real. What you don't see is real. Remind me which example I gave you. When I was a kid, my father took me. Did I tell you about the Sean Connery movie 007? It was filmed in 1967. I was 8 years old. My father was the director of all the voiceovers, all the dubbing, and it was called "You Only Live Twice." I don't know if anyone here has heard of 007, but there's this huge volcano.
All Bachram ones.
I missed out on that. I went to Shiur when I was 17, so I guess I was a Bacher then too.
Do over.
Yeah, do over. So the actual movie was filmed in Pinewood Studios, London, and also on location in Italy. So there was a volcano in Italy, and they pretended that inside this volcano it was actually a construction site for a nuclear warhead. So the outside of the volcano was filmed in Italy. The inside of the volcano was a huge movie set in Pinewood Studios. Pinewood Studios is like the British version of your Hollywood. So I never forget, I'm going up these steps very, very high into this extraordinarily large, covered in canvas on the outside, huge patches of canvas. And then as I go into the entrance, there you see on the inside is what looks like you're inside a volcano. And they were constructing this spaceship that was going to go out of space and then fire nuclear weapons on Earth and hold various governments to ransom if they didn't let these people take over the world. So by today's standards, it would be a very corny plot, but for those days, James Bond 007 was the hit. So, and I actually met Sean Connery on the way up there, and my father introduced him, and he asked me a few questions. It was interesting about school I was in, etc. But the point I want to share is the following: when we were standing inside this huge, when I talk about it's, I would say it must have been about 20 of these. It was just so gigantic. And you go inside and you see what looks like the inside of literally a huge cave. It's really meant to be a volcano, and you see growth of grass all over the place and the ground. It was fascinating to see all these people in spacesuits, and meanwhile you got 5 different cameramen and all the lighting technicians. You had the producer and the director, and then when they gave the signal, shoot, it was not, doesn't mean shoot, it means the camera's now rolling. It was fascinating that everyone had to be quiet while the actors played out there. The actors are saying their own words or the scriptwriter's words? And are they being themselves or they are acting? Duh. The camera is focused specifically where the cameraman wants the audience to see, because the camera is literally what the eyes of the audience are seeing. So what you're looking at on screen when you watch the actual movie, not you personally, but if someone were to watch the actual movie, what they're actually looking at is what the cameraman wants you to look at, and you're seeing the actors interfacing, but you don't see any of the other actors waiting to come on cue. You don't see the light technicians on the side, and they're moving this huge pole with the microphone at the end of it as the actors move around. You don't see any of that. And what you're looking at through that lens is not real. What you can't see is real. We're living inside a brilliantly designed movie. The only thing that I actually know is real is what I think. And it's we talked about this a little bit. It's just so obvious that I don't have to think about thinking, because I'm thinking all the time. But that is the biggest nisayon of this world. That Hashem will send people, especially relatives, friends, close people in business, to press my buttons in order for me to let go of my impression, judgment of the situation, of the people, and say, Ata hareta, you've already been shown at Sinai, Hashem hu Elokim, He's the only power, there are no other powers. This person has been invited to press this patience button and provoke you to anger. And that is the whole of this world. The whole of this world, nothing else exists. In the words of Rav Nachman, he says it in Sichas Aran, in number 300, it's an easy number to remember, 300, he says, just in 2 lines, Pamachas Amali, one time, this is Rav Nachman speaking, Rav Nachman told him, Kol ma she'ata ro'eh ba'olam, everything you see in the world, Kol ma she'nimtza ba'olam, everything that's found in this world, Hakol b'shvil ha'bechira v'hanisayin. It's only for one reason, your bechira. And your bechira is your next thought. Your pop-up thought is not even your bechira. What you see in a moment is not necessarily your bechira. It's what you do with your mind in the next thought that is where you're exercising free will. Everything is an invitation for free will. And the 2 people I need to pay most attention to is our spouse and children. Those are 2 categories of more than anyone else that have been selected to squeeze me in order not to hurt me, to squeeze what's inside me. And when I get squeezed, whatever's inside is what's going to come out. And that's for me to see me. That's real intimacy. Intimacy into me, see into me. That's the real purpose. And that's what Rav Nachman really is trying to, I think, helping us see that Moshe Rabbeinu wants us to know throughout our lives. I already gave you the absolute das, that I'm the one in charge. Now you have to have a emunah that if someone is on the rise, let's say someone by the name of Haman Dami. So Haman Dami, he's there to squeeze me. What will come out? Blaming, complaining, or Rabbeinu Shloim, this is your business. There's no way that this person logically got to where he got to. It makes no sense. It's got to be coming from you. In which case, who are you talking to? The Gentile world? The non-religious world? I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. Who are you talking to? You're talking only to the people who actually have emunah in you, who've got a relationship with you, and know that you're the only address to go to change anything. But otherwise, I get stuck thinking the movie is real. Have you ever come up, not you personally, but has anyone ever told you they got out of the cinema of a movie theater, and it takes a few seconds, I'm exaggerating slightly, where you got to remind yourself that there was a real world outside because you're adjusting from the immersion in the movie for the last hour and a half. This world is such a brilliant movie, it actually appears real. So that's why Chana actually said, Ein sur kelokeinu,
Sorry.
and Chazal say, Gemara in Brachas, I think Daf Yud, Al tikrei sur, don't say there's no rock like Hashem. Ein sayah, there's no designer like Hashem. And why is Hashem called a designer? Because if you want to know the difference between a picture and another picture, a portrait, a painting, what would be a logical criteria for deciding which of the two is superior? You see two paintings,
One with greater detail.
one with greater detail. Of two photos, two paintings, what would be the possible criteria that would be objective in deciding which is more real? The one that looks more real. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Sayer because he's a painter. He painted a physical world that is 3D, is so brilliant, it gives me the illusion of being real. But I'm living inside a moving painting. I'm living inside a divine illusion. And it's all brilliantly designed for me to make choices. So that's really I think the main lesson that came out of there. There's another. Yeah, sorry, a bit louder.
When I was not aware of God at all,
Yes.
the most exciting thing that ever happened to me was seeing whales in the ocean. And when I saw a whale, I just totally forgot everything. Myself, everything, my surroundings, everything around it. And that kept me sane.
Interesting.
And kept me to when I eventually found Hashem. Could you comment on that? What was going on there?
Question. Rav Rosenberg is pointing out that before coming to Hashem, he found us. If I'm saying this in my own words, you correct me if I've misunderstood you. He would find peace of mind and serenity in whale watching on the ocean.
In Hashem's creation.
In Hashem's creation. So it's extremely common that nature is a place where the mind feels relaxed. And the simple explanation is that this is God's direct creation. So when a person is in a forest or in a canyon or in a valley or relaxing on an ocean or even rowing down a river, the experience of being that close to the Creator's creation is less distracting than the constant stimuli in a man-made city, home, and so the neshama, which is always connected to Hashem, but gets, if you want to call it, obscured by the constant distractions to the point where I actually believe that distractions are real, and that this kid is really hurting me, when it's really my thinking about the kid that's hurting me. And that this spouse, I can't believe I made this mistake. And I start creating a whole narrative. And then this has nothing to do with God. He's not here at all. This is different people annoying me. And I thought this second marriage was going to be perfect. And I can't believe I fell in again. And then before you know it, I just do this to myself. But getting away into nature is an amazing island of sanity. That's my best comment. So what Rav Nachman said earlier in end of Kuf Tes Zayin,
But is it actually experiencing Hashem more?
you're getting warm. You're getting warm. Experiencing Hashem is really it has to start through Torah for the simple reason that it's the instructions in the Torah that tells me how to look at the world. Rav Nachman talks about it, but I don't think we can get it today per se, but there's a Torah, I think it's number 33, where he talks about Hashem constricted his physical presence in the physical world. It's called Tzimtzum, and every single element in creation is a Tzimtzum of Hashem. Even the Taryag mitzvahs, the 613 mitzvahs that Hashem gave us, they are also Tzimtzumim, and he calls them midot, which really translates correctly as measurements. Every mitzvah has a specific measurement. Like he gives an example of tefillin. There are 4 compartments. the oisios, everything is perfectly measured. And he says it's to such a degree, Hashem's presence is to such a degree that if we were fine-tuned, we could actually see God in every language. He talks about it in Torah Lamed Gimel. So even in English, and he doesn't say that, I'm saying that. Even in English, you can see God everything's created by Hashem's will, and Hashem's will is manifest through the oisios. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. So when Hashem created the universe, he created it with speech. Which speech? Lashon HaKodesh. This unique language. And what's unique about it? Number one, it's the language which created reality and still does. That's claim number one. That's why it's Kodesh. Kodesh means unique. That's what unique element number one. Unique element number two is Lashon HaKodesh is the mother tongue of all languages. So in Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, in Bereshis, Parshas Noach, it says there, Vayi kol haaretz safa achas. The entire earth was one language. Rashi quotes the Medrash Tanchuma, attests that it's Lashon HaKodesh. Then 70 nations split from the Migdal Bavel, which is that 9 verses in chapter 11, talking about the story of Migdal Bavel, the generation of dispersion. And there it tells us that it's split into 70 nations with 70 separate languages. So unbeknownst to the vast majority of linguists who are not even interested in identifying Lashon HaKodesh as a candidate for the origin of all languages, but our claim is Lashon HaKodesh is the mother tongue of all languages. It's not only the mother tongue, but you can find it. If you're looking, you can find it. I have a book, I actually brought it along, but I'm going to give you a couple examples. The Nitzotzos are in creation, and the creation is created by Nitzotzos, exists because of the Nitzotzos of Kedusha, and those sparks of energy, we're going to go, sparks of Hashem's will manifest in the physical creation. So for example, if you look at a kli, it's written like this, a kli. Now, how do you translate a kli?
Vessel.
It's a vessel. And for thousands of years, how was a vessel made? What material was it made
Clay.
out of? Clay. So if you read the same word, it's exactly the same letters, you just changed the voweling. How would you read this? Clay. What does mare mean? What does mare mean? What does mare mean? Appearance. Appearance. Where do you look to see your appearance?
Mirror.
Oh, you look in a mirror. If you read the same word this way, well, how would you pronounce it?
Mirror.
What does the word prat mean?
Detail.
Detail. What's another word in English for detail? Part. So if you read it like this, how would you read it? It's exactly the same word, same 3 letters, different voweling. Are you starting to get the... by the way, what does call mean? When you call out, you make a sound, you call. Oh, call. Oh. And how do you translate Paris?
Fruit.
Oh, so if you read it like this, same 4 letters, how would you read it? Should I stop? No. What does Shoresh mean?
Source.
Source. Oh, very good. So if you read it like this, how would you read it? Same 4 letters. What does Inui mean?
Pain.
Pain. What's another word in English for pain? Anguish. You got a roommate who?
Annoy.
Annoy. Same 4 letters. Annoy. What does terapé mean?
Heal.
Heal. Therapy. A therapist is a healer.
That doesn't heal.
Now you're pushing it. Now you're pushing it.
I'm describing what his job is supposed to be. What's bullet mean?
It sticks out.
Sticks out. Ask someone, let's say they're overate Friday night.
Bloated.
Bloat. Oh, you felt bloated. What does shekel mean?
Scale.
A shekel is a coin. How do you measure a coin for thousands of years?
Wait.
Oh, well, and you weigh it on a scale. A shekel is weighed on a scale. A scale gives you the weight. And in Lashon HaKodesh, Perek Yud Tes, I think Pasuk Tes Zayin in Vayikra, Rashi brings that there are words in Lashon HaKodesh which are interchangeable. Because, letters, sorry. They're otiyot mukhlafot. You can interchange them because the sound is almost identical. In some cases, you can't tell the difference. So, for example, kuf and kaf. Lamed and nun. Now, that sounds very different, but actually, we're talking about the place in your mouth do you have to move in order to pronounce letters. So Lamed and Nun are from the exact same location. You have to touch the roof of your mouth with the tip of your tongue, L, to make a L sound. Now do a N sound. L, na, 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 la, na, na, la, la, na, 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 la, na, 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 la, na. And you'll start to notice, oh my gosh, how do you tell the difference between those two? There's certain letters that are mukhlafot, they are interchangeable. So, and he's going on the pasuk, Lo telech rachil be'amecha, don't go spreading gossip amongst your people. And he says that the lashon of rachil is someone who's a peddler, and it's from the same lashon as ragil, someone who goes around walking. So that's where he gives you a list, and the Sefer Yetzirah, if you look at the footnotes in the art scroll, quotes Sefer Yetzirah that gives you examples of that. In the word shekel, you've got seichel. Because what is a scale? What does a scale do? It's constantly weighing. What is your seichel doing all your waking moments of your entire life? You're weighing up, what's the relevance of this? What's the value of this? Is this negir to me? Can I use this in my life? You're always weighing up. Where do you go to develop your seichel? You go to school. And if you become an academic, you might become a scholar. Have I read this one right? Oh no, you come up with a skill. You might come up with a skill, or you could become a scholar. It's all in the language.
Scholar.
And here's a scholar, and it's all from the same. A kaf. A kaf is, and a kaf in Hebrew is folded over, and a kaf is a fold. And what does kafel mean? Double. And what do you call a married couple? Oh, where does it come from? If someone is a mafunak, what does mafunak mean?
Finicky?
Yeah, finicky, finnick. It's from the three-letter root finicky. Put a hirik under each one of those, and how would you read it? It's the same root. When you say someone's got a dull mind, you mean a poor mind, poor sense of humor, dull. It comes from the word dull. Dull is poor in Lashon HaKodesh. Ash. What does fire do to everything? Turns it to ash. Ash comes from Aish. I'm not going to do all of them now, but just to close on this, because Rav Nachman talks about this in Torah Lamed Gimel, that you can see the oisius in all languages. This is a book called The Word. It's very hard to find because it keeps getting out of print. Last time I saw it was $269 on eBay. It's the dictionary that reveals the Hebrew source of English. It's by Isaac Mosen. He's a linguist. He's got here over 12,000 examples where English originates from Lashon HaKodesh. You're not going to notice it unless you're more attuned to realize, oh my gosh, the Hebrew language is in this language. And then he has a separate book. He's got a great sense of humor, by the way. He calls it The Origin of Speeches. This is a great title, because Darwin came up with a small pamphlet called The Origin of Species. He's the father of evil, Lucian. So in The Origin of Species, this is the origin of speeches, meaning the intelligent design in language. And he goes through 25 different languages to show you that if you're listening to the shoresh, there's a 2 or 3 letter oisius letters in every shoresh, every root of a word in Hebrew. If you're listening carefully for the shoresh, you can hear it in other languages as well. Example.
So, excuse me, what would you say that this is telling us?
Much louder.
What would you
My
say-
doctor told me 2 years ago that I'm going deaf, and I haven't heard from him since.
What would you say one can take out of this?
Lashon HaKodesh is a perfect language, and that Hashem is hiding everywhere all the time. And apart from human-made words, there are a lot of human back axle. So in modern Hebrew, back axle is back axle. It's the same. It's like pronunciation. The pronunciation is the same. It's just a different accent, but it's the same word. Televisia. There's no difference. But
James Bond.
But
James Bond.
James Bond.
That's what they call it. Had to shake his James Bond.
yeah, that's funny. So everything is created by letters of the oisius, and including all the languages. They originate from Lashon HaKodesh, and you can demonstrate it. So he does it over here. So for example, the word regular. Listen to the 3 most pronounced parts of the word regular.
Regular.
Ra, ga, Le. Now say, what is that? Regel. What do your feet do? Oh, they regulate your pace. What is direction? Da. Ra. What's that spelled? Derech. In English, you have the word laugh. Now, if I had to spell it, I would probably spell it L-A-R-F. My teacher would say, Rietti, this is pathetic. Okay, I'll try with American accent. Laugh. Okay, L-A-F-F. Rietti, this is so... Laugh is L-A-U-G-H. And I go, la. Oh, of course! How could I not figure that out? Whoever invented British spelling was obviously learning disabled. But actually, when you go through a book like this, it opens your mind. So laugh, even though it's an English word, many English words originate from French and German, and it comes from the word laug in German, which means laugh at. In Hebrew, when you mock someone, in Lashon Kodesh, biblical Hebrew, la'ag. So it's a fascinating thing to go into, but the point is that in Torah 33 of Likutim Ran, Rav Nachman talks about Hashem is hiding everywhere, even in languages. He gives the example of totafot. So totafot is an African term for 2 plus 2, and it's in reference to the phylacteries, the tefillin. But it's showing you that totafot is actually from Lashon Kodesh, but is being used in other languages. So the point being is that Hashem's everywhere all the time, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu, that's the das he wanted us to have, and therefore I'm always close to Hashem. I'm never far away from Him. So I apologize. I didn't get into the simplicity, the science of simplicity, the pashup shut in science of simplicity, which deserves much more time than I can offer now, but which we'll have to do next week and call it part 2. Is that pshat means to undress, lifshot means to remove, to undress. When you're looking at something with pshitas, you are not looking at any extras. You're completely undressing it and looking at it as it is. You're not going with any chokhmah or chakira, no speculation, no other people's opinions. You just go with the pashup pshat. Pashup pshat literally means that. Don't give me drush, don't give me remes, don't give me side, just give me pshat. And pshat means what you're looking at. So pshitas means just go with the munah. Hashem created the universe. Go with the munah. Hashem spoke to the Jewish people at Sinai collectively, and He promised this will never happen again. We looked at that pasuk, Perek Daled, pasuk Lam Beis in Parshas V'eschanan. Hashem will never repeat Har Sinai, and He wants us to know that because He wants us to ask. If you ever heard any other religion start with the claim that God spoke to an entire nation, you will never hear that. It will never happen again. Now, if Moshe Rabbeinu Has V'Shalom made it up himself, he would have told Yeshua, this is amazing. They really thought I spoke to them, but really it was just my megaphones. So Yeshua would say, but Moshe Rabbeinu, why are you now saying, please ask if this ever happened again? Because if you could do it, anyone could do it. Meaning to say, Moshe Rabbeinu put a nevuah that this will never happen again, and it's a guarantee. Now, 3,338 years later, nobody made the same claim. Nobody. And they can't. You can't make the superior claim unless it happened, because then you're going to check out with all the witnesses. No witnesses. We're the only ones. And we've got an unbroken Messiah of only 3,338 years. It sounds like a lot, but I think we did the math. It's only 66 generations. That's all it is. 66 people 50 years old will equal 3,300 years. That's all you need. So we've got an unbroken Messiah from Har Sinai till today. We've got a lot to be proud of, and we're going to look at the simplicity next week, Bezrat Hashem, of Pshitas and Tamimus.
Oh yeah.
So I went over time. L'chaim.